This is why you're falling behind financially. And there's some things that people may not have told you and where Bitcoin fits into all of it. So before we get into Bitcoin, let's talk a little bit about some basics. And those basics are inflation. So just so everybody knows, everybody understands that here in America, 100 pennies will equate to $1, or 4 quarters, or 20 nickels, and that is infinite, meaning that the US government can print as many dollars as they want to, and there is no shortage of how much they can print. It can go into infinity. Now, if we take a look at, say, with Bitcoin, and so people can understand is that people will say, well, I can't afford one Bitcoin. That's worth, as of today, August 2025, one Bitcoin's worth roughly 118,000. But you can, because just like 100 pennies equal $1, there's 100 million Satoshis equates to one Bitcoin. So you can buy $10 of Bitcoin, $20 of Bitcoin, you can get a good amount of Satoshis. Now, the big difference between the dollar or any fiat currency out there, and that could be the baht, the euro, franc, it could be peso, it doesn't really matter, is that each government can print as much of that fiat currency that they want. With Bitcoin, there's only 21 million ever available. So unlike gold, which is scarce, Bitcoin is finite. There's 21 million, and that is it. It is now very rare to actually own one whole Bitcoin. How rare is it? Well, moving forward, there's 8 billion people in the world. There's 59 million millionaires out there. That means that only a third of these millionaires would be able to hypothetically own one Bitcoin. But here's the thing. Bitcoin's been around since 2009. People like me have been buying it. People like some OGs in the space have been buying it. And there's not enough to go around. And now we see millionaires and billionaires looking to buy into Bitcoin. Now, to be fair, Warren Buffett does not believe in Bitcoin whatsoever. Elon Musk got into it. He was actually, there was an availability for you to use Bitcoin to buy Teslas. Or like my friend Simon Dixon, who's been picking up Bitcoin since 2010. There are varying degrees of billionaires out there who believe in it and don't believe in it. But as far as finite, they don't have the amount to buy even one Bitcoin as time has gone on. So the question then is, if Bitcoin is so finite, why wouldn't I just get everything into dollars? Well, it comes down to inflation. And this is why Bitcoin's so important, because it is deflationary, not inflationary. And you can go through ChatGPT and ask the same question. Actually, I urge you to do these things and don't just rely on some guy making a video on YouTube. But I asked the question, where does inflation come from primarily? And ChatGPT states inflation primarily comes from an increase in the money supply that outpaces economic output. It's when central banks, like the Federal Reserve, create more money than the economy produces in goods and services. More dollar chasing the same amount of goods. We're going to talk about houses in a bit. COVID era stimulus checks. Remember that when we were printing money like crazy, called quantitative easing, and low interest rates led to trillions of new money created from 2021 to 2022. And that's not the only part. So again, the dollar is infinite. And this isn't just some new theory. This was back in early 1900s, actually 1960s, 1970s. This is Milton Friedman. He's a 1976 Nobel Prize awardee, economic science. And he states very poignantly, inflation comes from one place and one place only, in Washington. Inflation is not a new thing in how the US government is doing it. And I'm going to have Milton Friedman explain it to you in detail.
The truth is, inflation is made in one place and one place only, here in Washington. This is the only place where there are presses like this that turn out these pieces of paper we call money. This is a place where the power resides to determine how rapidly the amount of money shall increase. Before every election, our representatives would like to make us think we're getting a tax break. And they're able to do it while at the same time actually raising our taxes because of a bit of magic they have in their kit bag. That magic is inflation. They reduce the tax rates, but the taxes we have to pay go up because we are automatically shoved into higher brackets by the effect of inflation. A neat trick. Taxation without representation.
So it is a neat trick. And to take a look at just how tricky it actually is, this is what inflation looks like. And to give you the actual scale, this is $1 million in $100 notes. And this is $100 million. Looks pretty big, right? Then, of course, we can see a billion. But this is how much was printed, $2 trillion in the 2020 quarantine for the economic stimulus package when we had this little thing called coronavirus. This is 221 billion, 150 billion, 500 billion. This is for different organizations and different projects that were going on. 250 billion, 350 billion, 475 billion, and 2.3 trillion being printed and printed and printed into oblivion. So when we talk about inflation, we can see that there's a reason why things are going up, costs are going up. It's because they are robbing you with inflation. So isn't that amazing? And then what I'd also like to do is have you take a look at the M2 money supply, because how much is actually being produced? It's a good video for scale, but over time, how much is being produced? This is the M2 United States money supply. M2 supply equates to the physical cash, funds in checking and savings accounts, government bonds, CDs, etc. Everything that has to make up with fiat currency in the United States or M2 money supply. And we can see from 1960s, we've had a massive run-up of the money supply. Interesting enough, take a look at the 70s, seemed like it just went exponentially up. And for those that know about the gold standard, you know why that is. However, what I'd like you to notice here is that in this blue line, this is the S&P 500. As we get more dollars pumped into the system and the S&P 500 goes up, which traditionally is a very safe investment, you have to ask yourself, were people actually gaining ground in their investments? Or was it just because there was more money being put into the system, thus they had more money to put in S&P 500, thus they had a return on investment? So it really comes down to the question is what about the purchasing power? Because if we make more dollars, what does that mean? Well, you can look no further than the United States home economy. In 2016, a typical house was $288,400. And in 2016, when Bitcoin was roughly $300, $400, it took, or $500, it took around 664 Bitcoin to afford one house. Now in 2020, because we kept printing a bunch of dollars, thanks to coronavirus as well, it was 328,000. Coincidentally enough, in 2020, it only took 45 Bitcoin. So you can see which one is inflationary, dollars, which one is deflationary, Bitcoin. 2024, 434,000, took only 6.6. And we can see even an updated example in 2025, where it's 419,000 and only takes 4 Bitcoin, as we now are around $118,000. But it's not just housing. Inflation affects everything. This affects your pocketbook. And you know, when you go to the store, you see stuff like this. Chicken breasts are up. Eggs are up. Cheese is up. Is it because cheese is so much more difficult to make? No, it's because there's a ton of funds of fiat currency being dumped into the system. That causes inflation. Your purchasing power goes down. And to drive this point home, this is the inflation tool. I'll link this in the description. You can check it out. And I did a very extreme example. What if I had $100 in 1913? What is the purchasing power in 2025? To make sure that this is crystal clear, $100 in 1913 is $100 in 2025. But the purchasing power back then was $3,272. That could buy a lot of groceries. Now, $100 go to Walmart, good luck. And that is essentially inflation in a nutshell. So people say, I'm just going to be cash heavy because cash is king. I tend to disagree. Cash is a melting ice cube sitting in my savings account. I need assets. And whatever you like to invest into, I do all these things. Real estate, I do into equities or stocks, some commodities like gold, silver, oil, sure. But still, I think Bitcoin is a better investment. And I need you to think about this, because this is for new investors, to think of it in years, not in days. And there's a great quote here by Preston Pysh. He says, everyone who has held Bitcoin for a minimum of 4 years at any time in Bitcoin's history is in profit. So if you bought in 2016, when it was very low, you'd be in profit in 2020. Actually, before that, but he's just making generalization. And that even happens when we hit all-time highs. So we had all-time highs, in 2021 and 2020. 2021, we had an all-time high of $67,000. It is 2025. You're in profit. It's been 4 years. That's it. It's very hard to say that for other different assets. And not only is it good to think as like long-term as far as in years and not in days, but there's another 4-year part I want to make you aware of, individuals who may be new to investing, is the 4-year cycle that is Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin was created in 2009. Every 4 years, based on the algorithm, there's a thing called the Bitcoin halving. And what that means is There are so many different Bitcoins that can be mined by these GPUs, by these processors. Now it's much more advanced for how much Bitcoin is produced every day, and it is deflationary. Bitcoin was created in 2009. 2012, we went from 7,200 Bitcoin mined per day maximum to only 3,600 per day. And when people realized that this is actually a finite asset, they go, maybe we should get into that. And it went from essentially a couple of dollars all the way up to $1,000. And that was a pretty good run in 2013. Then a year after, you have what I call as a dip. And then the next year after that is called a reset, because people go, maybe you went a little bit too harsh. So that is the first one. And it happened again. 2016, Bitcoin halving every 4 years. It went from 3,600 Bitcoin being produced per day down to 1,800 per day. Again, in 2016, just hundreds of dollars. Then in 2017, the year after that, it went to almost $20,000, which was a nice 20x from 2016, and even more so. Then, of course, we get the same thing, a dip and a reset or a cool-off period. And the same thing happened in 2020. Went from 1,800 per day to 900 Bitcoin being produced per day. And in 2024, we had the exact same thing happen, 900 per day down to 450 per day. And that's why in 2025, we're seeing the same thing happen again, where we're seeing big, massive all-time highs, and the cycle is not over. So the question you probably have is, well, those are the basics. How do I do this? And it's very simple. I use Kraken. There's other centralized exchanges out there you can use. I just have a preference for Kraken. It's been around since 2011. Again, Bitcoin was created in 2009. It's one of the first. It's one that I trust the most. You can buy crypto in minutes, and it's available in 190 countries. So wherever you're at, pretty good chance you're going to be able to use this pretty quickly. And we're going to do this thing called dollar cost averaging, or DCA. Remember, years, not hours or days. This is the long game. So if you can stick around for 4 years, historically speaking, you will be rewarded. I'm going to show you how to do that. But if you'd like to download Kraken, which I personally recommend, you get $25. Now, this is an affiliate link. If you can't stand affiliate links, go right to Kraken, find it on the website, and you can download it. That's under the $25. So there's two ways to do it. If you're watching on your laptop or you're watching on your phone, there's a link in the description, and you can click that, and it will send you to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Or if you're watching this on your TV, just scan this barcode and you'll be able to download it. Now let's jump into my phone. I'm going to show you how easy this is to set up, which takes only like a couple minutes, and how to buy Bitcoin and set it and forget it. So we click the link or scan the code. Now we're going to download it, double click to install. Very simple, just what you're used to. And now we're going to create an account, and you can put in your email here. Now, for the sake of time, we've all done this. We've all put on our emails. We put our information. There's going to be some ID checks because you're dealing with finance. So you're going to have to go through these steps, but of course, it's very self-explanatory, and I will let you go through that as you see fit. But very simple, very easy. Usually takes about 2 minutes, maybe 3. But let's buy some Bitcoin. So we're going to click on Bitcoin when we get to the app. We're going to click on buy. And then at this point, how much do you want to buy? You want to buy $100, $10, $25? It's up to you. Again, you can do whatever you want to. And then for this one, you can, as far as dollar cost averaging, do you want to do it daily, set it and forget it, weekly, bi-monthly, monthly, whatever it is? It's whatever you can afford. I don't know if it's $10 is too much or 10,000 isn't enough. I don't know what you are. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't give you any kind of advice, but this is just how to do things. And now your Bitcoin is now purchased, and you can set it and forget it for the next one if you decide to sign up for dollar cost averaging. And that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. Everything we talk about is time sensitive. If you'd like to learn more information about why Bitcoin is valuable, why you might want to avoid some of the spreads, how to stay away from scams, and how to actually sell this at the right time, there's a link in the description for my crypto critical videos. Also on top of that, there's a free website called Dan Teaches Crypto, 100% free. It's mine, it's free, it'll always be free. That's it for today. Thanks so much for stopping by. I do appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one.